Hi Mary, welcome to lesson 2 of troubleshooting. In this video I'm going to show you how to put in what is known as a lifeline. So basically what a lifeline is, it's something that you use when you have unfortunately noticed that you have a mistake in your work and you've unfortunately let several rows pass without correcting the mistake. So you have several options when you notice a mistake. So say there's a mistake down here, and I've realized it, an inch up. I can go, oh, well, I can just pull this needle out and have all of these live loops that could just potentially fall off. Or I could do it. I could also try to tink it all the way down there, although that's very time consuming. So this is another option that is a lot safer. So let's pretend that I've completely lost my mind and started doing ribbing when I was only supposed to be doing a stockinette stitch, and I need to take all of this out. So what I want to do is put in a lifeline. So what a lifeline is it's going to be some yarn in a contrasting color that you're going to thread through your fabric. So you're going to want to thread it onto a yarn needle. And before I get started, I want to acclimate you a little bit to what the knit stitches look like. So can you come in closer? Okay. So as you can see here, we have these little V shapes. So they kind of go V, 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 and those are the knit stitches. And when you create a lifeline, what you're going to be doing is threading your needle through, and you're going to be picking up the right side of each V, just like this. And you're going to be threading your yarn through that. So you're going to start at the very end, and what you want to do is you want to actually choose a spot that's below your mistake so that you can kind of work up to it instead of working down to the row that already has a mistake in it. So you'll want to be careful. The hardest part of this is actually picking up the very end, and what I find is most helpful is actually to kind of start up at the top and work my way down to sort of see, okay, here's this V, it's coming from this, and it goes all the way down this straight line here. So unfortunately my yarn is a little messy, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to tell, but my row starts kind of, it's curled over, so I'm going to start, I'm going to pick this row to start on. So I'm going to pick up this very edge right there, and once again I'm just going to pick up the right leg of each stitch, of each V, and I'm going to just make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Yep. Okay. So you're going to go along, and you're going to do this along the entire row, and you're going to be pulling through your yarn in the contrasting color so you can kind of see much better what's going on here. So I'm going to do this as quickly as possible so you don't have to sit there and watch me thread this whole thing. So I'm about halfway through right now. You can kind of just pull it along, and as you can see I have these loops all here on this contrasting thread. And what this thread is going to do is it's actually going to act as a yarn holder. It's basically a place keeper for where your your knitting needle would go. Okay, and what you'll want to do is when you get to the end of your row is you'll want to count and make sure that you have the correct number of stitches. So this swatch has 40 stitches on it, so I'm just going to count. Okay, so I have 40 stitches, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. So you're going to keep this in here like this. And now is the part where you kind of take a breath, take a drink of water, cross yourself, and then just bite the bullet. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Just pull your needle out. It's scary. And now I want to introduce you to a term that is called frogging. And it's basically what frogging is it's the process of pulling your needle out and just pulling out your stitches. And the reason that it is called frogging, I learned, is because you take your yarn and you rip it, rip it, rip it, rip it, which I find to be rather amusing. So you're just going to keep pulling your yarn out until you get down to the mistake. Oops. And be a little careful at the ends of the rows because they tend to be a little bit tighter. Okay, like this for example. Okay, and now, as you can see, we have all of our loops safely gathered on this piece of thread. And now what you can do is you can just replace or put your needle on there. And what is normally recommended is that you actually take a smaller needle, because sometimes these loops can be a little bit smaller, not as is the case with this one. And then you're just going to loop your needle through these loops. You're just going to thread it back on like that. Now, if you didn't have this Lifeline here, you could try to do this, but before I learned about Lifelines, it was a dark time, Mary. It was a dark time of uncertainty and fear, frequently fraught with failures, because you can never really be certain that what you're picking up is what you want. You're not sure that your stitches are even going on the right way. But with this, it's sort of it's a lot safer. Oops, so I've got a bit of a knot here, and I'm going to pick this last one up. And now I have them all back on, and you can just secure, just to make sure it doesn't fall off, and then just pull out your Lifeline, and you're ready to pick up where you left off. And that is how you use a Lifeline.